trance. So you have them in a bind. The only way to get out of the bind is just to not play the game. It's just to say, well, I reject the presuppositions and those prospects altogether. So, and so I just wonder, this phenomenon is tricky, and how do we know when we're playing its game? And then again, you could also make the case that maybe that's the purpose of being in this computational universe where we're supposed to play games. Like Heraclitus says about the eon is a child playing a game. And so maybe what you're proposing is a game that we have to play to get to the next level, like in a video game, or maybe another possibility. So what do you think about that? That long thing there.
I think it's excellent, and I actually want to spend the rest of our conversation just responding to that. Okay, because that's such an important meta question.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to spend the rest of our conversation responding to that. And, we can go back and forth on the details of it. But another reason why I want to take the time to fully address this is because basically my response to what you laid out there is also my critique of Jacques Vallée.
Mm.
So I've been deeply influenced by Jacques Vallée. I owe a great debt to him. And, I was fortunate to spend a little bit of time with him. And the man has certainly had insights that have been catalytic for my philosophical thought on a fairly deep level. That having been said, one of the things that the book that I'm writing does is that it levels a kind of at least implicit critique at Vallée's handling of the close encounter phenomenon. And here's basically what that critique is. The danger that is involved with taking the kind of position that you laid out there is that we run the risk of not recognizing that we're inside of some kind of oppressively controlling system, right? Now, Vallée describes the entire close encounter phenomenon as a kind of control system. But it may be that we're dealing with two different levels of control here. And this is what I want to suggest. That when you look at abduction reports and reports of implants and especially the mutilation phenomenon, you're dealing with accounts of traumatic abuse and in some cases murder of human beings. Okay? If we make the mistake of thinking all of this is some kind of solid holographic projection or manipulation of a programming system for the sake of, inspiring new ideas and evolving our folklore, we are also disregarding the horrific trauma that some people have been subjected to by this phenomenon. I mean, abductees are traumatized people, okay? Not to mention, if there's something to the hybrid program that David Jacobs describes in his various works, then we're dealing with, the worst violation of personal rights and liberties imaginable, okay? And actually, I do think that there's something to that. I think that, like any other researcher, Jacobs is working with too restricted a framework, and he's trying to filter all of the data through his own presuppositions, which are very limited. But he's onto something with the hybrid phenomenon. I mean, there are women who, are abductees and they're pregnant for 4 months and all of a sudden their pregnancy disappears. And, they
to all of it. I mean, that's what I'm saying. It's like, there's something to all of these threads, like a pluralistic.
But the point that I want to make has to do with trauma, right? And with abuse. Right. Also, if we look at the antiquity of the phenomenon, right? It's not just lights dancing in the sky over 1500s, Basel, Switzerland, or, this apparently titanic battle that took place in the sky, over a German town in the 1560s or something like that, right? It's that the beings associated with the close encounter phenomenon appear to be the Anunnaki or the Elohim or, whatever name, any particular culture gave to their gods, the beings who set up these various societies thousands of years ago, and who, quite frankly, managed them in an incredibly totalitarian, hierarchical, and oppressive fashion. The pharaonic state of Egypt, or the caste system established by the Devas in ancient India, is a totalitarian, hierarchical system that results in the large-scale abuse and oppression of human beings. Okay, and it's true that we also see resistances against that in various folkloric bodies of literature and religious scriptures. We also see that there appears to be this other side. There appears to be the Quetzalcoatl type civilizer gods, who in the case of Quetzalcoatl in the Mayan civilization rebelled against some kind of an archontic deity that the Mayans described as Tezcatlipoca, the Lord of the Smoking Mirror. And it was Tezcatlipoca who wanted the human sacrifices on top of the pyramids and so forth. And Quetzalcoatl and his comrades were confronting this person, and they were trying to bring, the light of knowledge and the various crafts to the Mayans that would empower them to be able to see after their own affairs, right? And all of these beings, whether it's the civilizer gods of the Mayans or whether it's the gods of the ancient Egyptians, are described as these tall white people with either blonde or red hair, green, blue, gray eyes. They all have a Nordic phenotype. And this is consistent across the entire planet. And so I think this fits with the other data that I was laying out, where, we have to take seriously the possibility that quite literally Nordics achieved time travel technology